Okay, so stepping outside the locker room with me today is left-handed pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians organization. He was a two-time All-American at Ole Miss, along with a number of other awards that would probably take up half the interview if I tried to mention them all, so snaps to that. He's a former member of the USA baseball team, grew up in Windermere, Florida. He now finds himself in Columbus, Ohio with the Guardians AAA affiliate, the Columbus Clippers. So today we welcome Doug Nikhazy.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
You're
Happy to be
welcome.
here.
How are you feeling today? I know you're heading into your fifth start, so kind of
Yeah,
a big day.
I'm throwing tonight. Thankfully we play late, so it's a very calm and relaxing morning. So plenty of time to sit down, chat, and talk about, I guess, unfortunately me, but
No, we're excited to talk about you because I feel like it's been an exciting season for you, and we're just halfway through the season, so there's a lot more to come. But we want to start at the beginning. You were born in North Carolina, and
yeah.
then you moved to Florida. How old were you before you moved to Florida?
Um, I think I moved to Florida when I was probably 3 or 4. We bounced around for a little bit. My mom is from Virginia, actually. She's from Charlottesville. Huge Virginia fan, and she also has family that lives in Burlington, so that's why I was born there. And then we moved to where she was from for a little bit. My dad's from Pittsburgh. We went to Pittsburgh for a little bit, and then they decided
Blech.
to start. Yeah, we just decided to start fresh in Orlando, and I'm really happy they did because it's a beautiful place, and I always find myself still wanting and loving going back there every single off season.
Yeah, and with Florida, you have sunshine pretty much all year round.
hmm
Growing up, did you play any other sports besides baseball, or how did you get into playing baseball too?
I I got into playing baseball. My dad is a baseball fanatic. He has been this way ever since he was introduced to baseball at a very young age, and I dedicate so much of my success to him because he spent so much time with me at a young age preparing me to play baseball. I've kind of told everybody that my goal growing up wasn't necessarily to be a professional baseball player. He just wanted me to go to college, and this
Mhm.
was his way of making it easy for me to have that avenue to, hopefully get a scholarship and play college baseball. But I didn't really play a whole lot of other sports because I dedicated a lot of time to baseball. I played football for 2 seasons. I played middle school court volleyball, and that was actually some of my favorite experiences outside of baseball with sports. But it was, like you said, sunshine in Florida. It's 365 baseball around the clock, around the sun every year.
So, at what age do you think that you or your parents or coaches realized that you might have a legit future in baseball? Because I think I read that you committed to Ole Miss your freshman year of high school. So,
Yeah.
it had to be pretty early on.
Yeah, I remember when the first time I played for the national team was when I was 15 years old. And I had already committed to Ole Miss by that time, which was very weird for me, but I had a ton of other phenomenal coaches growing up. One being Mike Caravino, or excuse me, Rob Caravino. Sorry, Rob. But
Shout out, Rob.
a lot of mics in my life as well with college baseball. But with Rob, he really like took me under his wing. He has a hitting facility outside of Tampa, and he was really showing me the finer points of baseball at a very young age. And I was lucky enough to kind of hit puberty young enough where I was throwing harder. I was probably a little bit more mature than a lot of like 13, 14 year olds at the time. And I was starting to get noticed a little bit by college coaches, even at that young of an age, which was it was a little bit more unheard of at the time. I know now that that's the reality for a lot of kids now, which is still blows my mind. But I had a few small offers, and then my first real big offer was Ole Miss, and I kind of jumped all over that, being that it is the school that it is.
I was going to say, I can't imagine it's easy to try and figure out at the age of like 14, 15, what college you want to attend. So I guess what other schools were looking at you and the recruiting process with Ole Miss, how did that look?
With Ole Miss, I was recruited by Carl Lafferty, who was the pitching coach there. Still is with the team. He's one of my other like second fathers. He kind of came to me and came to Rob and really came to Rob really because, funny story, Rob Caravino is actually really good friends with Mike Bianco, the head coach at Ole Miss, and they both are from the Tampa area, or excuse me, more like Clearwater area. But he had a connection with him, and he was like, "Hey, do you have any players for me?" He's like, "I actually have three players for you, and you need every single one of them." One of them turned out to be me. The other one was Gunnar Hoagland, who is also playing professional baseball. He's in Double A with the Athletics right now. And then there's Justin Bench, who's also playing professional baseball. We all ended up going to Ole Miss and committing at a very young age. And that's kind of what set that up for me and what was able to get me there.
I was going to say, have you gotten to, now that you are, playing professionally, have you gotten to face any of your collegiate teammates yet?
Um, yeah, I've gotten to face a few. When I was in Double A with Akron, I faced Will Etheridge. He was with Hartford at the time. I faced Anthony Servideo, who was playing. He was in Double A with the Orioles at the time. Houston Roth was also on that team. I got to play Cooper Johnson, who was also with me at Ole Miss. A lot of the guys that were there for my freshman year, I've gotten to play along the time. But a lot of my real closest friends that I was with a lot of the time, I still haven't crossed paths with
Mm,
them. We've kind of been in different divisions or we've been on different
yeah.
sides of leagues and stuff like that. But I know you asked about what other teams were or what other colleges were looking at me at the time. I had a few kind of spotty offers, like walk-on spots. I know LSU was looking at me. Florida had not offered me yet, but they were kind of looking at me. And then I had an offer from Florida State, but um, Ole Miss was just like the right fit, and I think all signs were pointing for me to go there at the time.
And I feel like they probably thought, well, they did. They struck gold with you because just in your freshman year, you made 20 appearances with 14 starts. You finished 9-3 with a 3.31 ERA, which was one of the best among the starters. You set an Ole Miss record for freshmen with 86 strikeouts. So coming into that freshman season, was that kind of like a surreal moment for you to do that well, or was that something that you kind of expected out of yourself?
It's a very good question. It was something that my dad would say he wasn't surprised for, but I personally was, I guess I wasn't surprised with my performance, but rather just I felt really blessed with the opportunities that were given to me. I know that there
Yeah.
was a lot of very talented guys on that team, and I think things just kind of shook out in my favor that year. I kind of came in that freshman fall. I was working very hard, but I definitely didn't have the best fall of a lot of other freshmen there on that team. Um, I think I worked my way into it throughout the season and really finished strong, which kind of gives those really good numbers. But at the beginning of the year, I was a middle relief bullpen guy, and just trying to get out there on the field
Mm-hmm.
as much as I possibly could. And then it turned out that a few injuries and a few mishaps I found my way into the weekend rotation, and then I just thankfully seized the opportunity, and that's sort of how I ended up in that great position.
By your sophomore year, you were a Friday night starter, but the season was obviously cut short due to COVID. And I know a lot of guys at that point were kind of like, do I declare for the draft? Sounds like we're going to war, but baseball. Knowing that, or I guess not knowing what was going on, what was going to happen, what the future for you in baseball looked like, what went into your decision to stay at Ole Miss instead of deciding to try and get drafted to the MLB?
Well, I think I just felt at home there, and I didn't think I was really ready. A lot of that process for me of transitioning to professional baseball, a lot of that didn't come to fruition until really the months leading up to the draft. I think after my junior year, I had a future in professional baseball, but after sophomore year, it kind of just felt like I just kind of got my feet wet and I was just starting to get comfortable at Ole Miss, and I wasn't quite ready to move into the professional world yet. I was still very much a boy. I think I talk a lot about with the people that are close with me about the difference between a man and a boy, or a man and a young man. And I think I was still a young man, and I wasn't ready to transition into that professional world yet. I mean, looking back at it now, I know I wasn't, and I'm happy that I decided that. But I have a really good support system that allows me to, hopefully make better decisions.
Yeah. And I was gonna say I was stalking the Rebel Instagram page from back when you were a player, and I would say that you were definitely a fan favorite, definitely a favorite in the SEC too, which we'll get to that. But one thing that I need to know is this Doug Day saying. Where did that come from, and how did that stick?
I had an awesome roommate, Josh Hall, and he gets full credit for it because I think one day there was just, and I really have to give so much credit to just my teammates and how much I felt overwhelming support when I stepped on the bump and I took the baseball. I think it came from Josh where he really was like, "Oh, it's Doug's day." When
Yeah.
Doug gets the ball, there's this overwhelming feeling that we're just going to win today, no matter what happens. And what I loved so much about it is it gave me so much confidence personally that my teammates have so much belief in me that allowed me to just go out and perform. I think, and when you feel that support, it's very like freeing in a way. But he kind of came up with it, and yeah, took off like wildfire for like the last year and some change that I was at Ole Miss. Everyone was just Doug Day this, Doug Day, and then there was a lot of like buzz around it every day that I took the mound.
Yeah, I like that. Well, we're gonna have to somehow, I feel like, transition that into the Guardians organization because obviously it worked. So,
Yeah.
stick with what works. But as I mentioned, you were for sure a fan favorite. You got a lot of coverage from the SEC. At that young of an age, I feel like getting that much attention, it might be hard not to let it go to your head. How did you stay humble and just have fun with it?
That's the beauty of I think the program that is Ole Miss baseball. They teach us how to become a man and how to they instill grit in their players, they instill humility in their players, and they're teaching them how to be an all around good human being, not just a baseball player. So with people like Mike Bianco at my side and Carl Lafferty. It was pretty easy, like they kept me down to earth, and a lot of the players, they just, treated me no different. So, and especially on top of that, being in a small town like Oxford, Mississippi, where, it's kind of, it almost feels a little bit isolated from the rest of, maybe that southern portion of America. Like you're really, maybe you feel like you're recognizable within this small 5 mile radius, but outside of that, you're just a normal human being, and you even are there. So it was pretty easy to just, focus on the baseball. And when you left the field, you're just Doug. So
And I actually had a caller at the radio station call in. Oh, wait, no, I want to get to that next, but we'll go back to college. Sorry. Following your junior season, which once again you absolutely shoved, you earned your second All American honors. And then you were drafted in the second round by the Guardians, Indians at the time. Did you expect to come to Cleveland? Like, were there conversations that they were absolutely going to take you if you were still on the board, or were there other teams that you thought you were going to go to?
there was about I think 10 teams that had expressed interest in me. My mom had like a box of hats on draft day. She was like, if it's any of these, and if it's not one of these 10 teams, then we're just screwed. Like, I don't have a hat for you to wear. But um, thankfully, Cleveland was one of the 10 teams that expressed interest in me. And when that spot came up, um, they were very clear with their intentions of saying that we want you, we want to develop you, this is the right fit for you. And that's what made me feel really appreciative of being in this organization, is knowing that I think I landed exactly where I needed to be. I think that can be detrimental to some players' careers when you end up in an organization that maybe doesn't fit or maybe doesn't accept what you need to do to have success personally and also to help the team win a World Series. I think they knew what I needed to do to make it to the next level, and I had enough buy-in to what the information that they were giving me to help me do that. So I was very thankful that on draft day, they were the ones that picked me, and I'm happy that they kind of showed interest in me.
Yeah, and I feel like any pitcher who comes to this organization has to feel somewhat lucky because it is a pitching org, and we're known for having these amazing pitchers. So you kind of have that chip on your shoulder knowing that they were interested in you, with that honor, I guess.
No doubt.
And back to the question I was going to ask before, but I had a radio or a caller call into a radio station last night and asked me about this, and it was more in reference to Travis Bazzana and him making his debut with the Captains tomorrow. When you made your professional debut with the Captains back in 22, and I guess even towards the end of that season with Akron, was there an adjustment as far as skills that were that much different from college to the minors in the batters that you were facing?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know much, if anything, about the Pac-12, so I don't know how much his adjustability will be. And also,
Yeah.
Travis is unbelievably talented from all the things that I've seen. I actually have a very funny story about him at the beginning of this season, but like he's unbelievably talented, and I think he won't have a problem. I would say that single A baseball to me is harder, but somewhere in the ballpark of like the elite college baseball level. So maybe the top 25 baseball teams is something that you would see maybe in like a low A setting. That's kind of how I would put it. And then high is a small step above. But I think the challenge becomes everyone has a better plan of approaching the game when you get to professional baseball. I think you have a lot of talented players in college that are kind of filling out a scheme that a college coach has, but now you have 9 individual players on a field that all have a different like shtick that they do, and trying to get to the bottom of that as a pitcher and figuring out what every single hitter does differently and what their different tendencies are. That's what he won't have to figure that out because he's not a pitcher, but he will have to figure out, pitchers' different tendencies and stuff like that. But I think he'll be tremendous. He'll be just fine.
No doubt. Well, you mentioned it, so now you have to tell us what was that story about you and him, or
Um,
just him?
they opened up their first series of the weekend, or excuse me, their first series was a round robin tournament in Arizona, and I was there for spring training, and I was staying with Tanner Bybee and a few other guys at his house. And Quan happened to be there at the house that day, and he was like, "Oh, let's go watch Oregon State play." So we all decided to go watch them play, and I think it was their second game of the season. And Bazzana just goes absolutely crazy and hits 2 home runs at that game. We're actually sitting in the outfield grass at the game, like just behind the outfield, just like normal spectators. And he comes up to bat, and he actually hits a home run that damn near lands in our laps. It was so
It was
crazy
fate.
because we knew at this time that we had the first overall draft pick, and he hits this ball that like Miles Straw damn near almost caught it with his bare hand. So it like landed in our laps, and ever since then, I was like, we're picking Travis Bazzana. He's our guy. And I'd been saying it since that day. Like, I want to get this guy. Just for that like instance, it was like a little sign, like we're taking this guy.
A little God wink or something.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, hey, that you're gonna meet this guy at some point. So yeah, it was just a funny experience, and now I'm really excited that it all came true, and he's
No
actually a
kidding.
Guardian.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so we just talked about your 2022 season with Lake County and then Akron towards the end of the year. Where were you in 2023? Was that an injury year for you?
In 2023, I was in Akron the entire year. I'm trying to think. So we're in 2024 this year,
Yeah, so it was just last
2022.
season.
Yeah, last season, I did not. I don't think I actually I did. I did break with the team, but I had some injury. I can't. Oh, it was a groin. I had a groin injury leaving spring training, and I was kind of limited to start the season. I only started the season with the pitch limit of, I think it was like 45 to 50 pitches. So I was very limited to start the season, and I kind of got going as the season went on.
But that's not an injury that has, I guess, been prolonged or anything. It kind of was like a one and done type deal.
Yeah, I think it was just a little bit. I was doing a little bit of programming at the beginning of spring training, trying to throw harder, as everyone, I guess, is now
Yeah.
as pitchers. But I was doing some work with that, and I think I wasn't taking the best care of my body. Not a result of like I guess I could have controlled it, but I think it really was just like overwork and maybe not enough recovery. And then it was just a like tweak of my groin that opened up the season. But I think I ended up making most, if not all, of my starts that year. Just some of them with very limited pitch counts for like the first month.
Okay. And then moving into this season, you start with the rubber ducks, you throw a couple games, and then you get put on the IL for an oblique strain, right?
hmm
Was there any worry that that was going to set you back, or did you know it was like something minor that you were going to be able to, come back from pretty easily?
Well, I think that almost deserves a longer explanation because I was very my nerves levels after that oblique strain were pretty high because coming off of the 2023 season, that was probably one of the worst seasons I've ever had, like cumulatively of pitching in my career. And a season can't be made within a month or 2 months, but cumulatively looking back at it, it was probably one of my worst. And I left that season with not a newfound, but something that I hadn't felt maybe since 2021 or since college, with a true chip on my shoulder of I have something to prove. And I think I really took that to heart that off season. I worked my tail off from the end of September. I never stopped throwing from the end of September till I got till spring training and repatterned my whole my whole throwing motion changed. I did something that I thought would help me compete at the next level, and I came out to spring training and had the best spring training of my life. I'm throwing as hard as I ever had. But I'm doing a lot of things differently with my body. So I come out and I make my first two starts. They turned out to be phenomenal, and then I end up hurting my oblique. So I had a lot of stress at that time that, man, where could I have been if this wasn't the case? Like, what kind of trajectory is this going to set my season off? I felt like I was doing so well. But in that moment, I think I just had to trust in God's plan, trust in what was in front of me, and trust in my abilities and all the same, because it was nerve wracking. And it turned out to I was only on the IL for 7 days, but it ended up setting my pitch count back a little bit, and it kind of prolonged into about a month until I was actually back to a full starter routine. And I think I just had to trust in myself, and like I said, trust in what God has in store for me. And um, I think since then I had gotten over that hump, and I feel a lot better about where I'm at now.
Yeah, and it's funny how God works because you were activated back on May 5th, and then by the end of June, Columbus comes calling. Was that something that you expected to happen this season for you, or were you kind of shocked with the call up?
I was, unfortunately, I was kind of hoping
Well,
and
yeah, we
maybe
always,
not anticipating it, but I was
yeah.
definitely hoping for that. And I was very happy to get that call. I think I was happy that I felt like I deserved and earned my way out of there. I think that's what kind of set me on a bad trajectory in the year prior. I had made it to Double A in my first pro season, and then I spent a full season there and struggled tremendously. And I think part of that was because I didn't feel content in that place. I came back in 2023 with a newfound respect for that level, saying that I truly want to earn my way out of this place, and I want to have a lot of fun as I do it. That group in Akron at the moment is some of my closest friends in professional baseball, and I think what we did as a starting pitching group and as a bullpen group is we decided we just want to grind our way out of this, and we want to win in the process. And that was the mindset that changed a lot of stuff for all of us collectively. And you could see the numbers that Akron's putting up from the pitching side of things. They're tremendous. And I just felt so blessed that like we were all kind of able to lead that charge as a group of like, hey, we all maybe aren't the happiest with what's going on personally in our careers, but we can all come together as a group in happiness and know that like we're okay, and we can pitch and we can do what we need to do.
I don't know if it was the haircut or maybe you just needed to put on a Clippers uniform, but you have had no issues adjusting to AAA baseball. You went scoreless in your first three starts. Obviously, so exciting, but I feel like there would be a little bit of pressure there to keep that perfect ERA. Did you feel any of that?
Yeah, it was definitely a thorn in my brain when I got here, or after my first three starts of just like, what am I? When is it going to stop? When is it going to end? Like, when can I just give
Yeah.
up a run? I leave to go home for the All-Star break, and I'm still, maybe I'm still thinking about it a little bit. And I come back in my next start, and Louisville actually has a pretty good game that day, and they run me after like four, and I give up two. But it was a little bit like a relief to know that, hey,
Yeah.
this game isn't about, in my eyes, the pitching isn't about not giving up runs. In essence, it's really, if you want to break it down from even smaller, it's really, can I just execute one pitch at a time? And I think giving up those runs, I can be a little bit more focused on the pitch by pitch
Yeah.
mentality and not so much about, can I just put up a zero and get three outs?
And today will be your fifth start. Your ERA sitting at 0.86. You've got 23 strikeouts, only three batters walked. What's clicking right now? Maybe that hasn't clicked before. That's allowing you to have the success.
It's really just been the control of the baseball. Since I've gotten to professional baseball, I've always been the high strikeout, high walk pitcher. And since I made that mechanical adjustment that off season, um, it really has set me up in a position to be able to attack the strike zone way better. And the most important thing about pitching for me right now is just the count control. Can I be 0-1? When I put myself into better counts, I think I give myself the best chance to succeed no matter what my stuff looks like that day. So for me, it's just been, if I'm not walking guys and I'm making them swing the bat, I'm giving myself the best opportunity to succeed.
Okay, and obviously, none of us know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen, but we all know that starting pitching in the rotation for the Guardians has been something that they're struggling with this year. And now you're in AAA, you're shoving, and you're being talked about as this emerging top prospect for Cleveland, somebody that could be the next guy up. Um, when you're hearing this, that you might be the potential piece to a puzzle, do you listen to that noise, or I guess is it hard to tune it out and focus on where you are now? Obviously, Cleveland is the goal, and I can't imagine that it's not on your mind at all. But you also kind of want to be where your feet are.
Hmm. My college coach told me one of my favorite phrases regarding to social media, news, buzz, any of that stuff related to yourself or to your team. He told me that if you believe it when it's good, you'll believe it when it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
So something that really helps me get through these moments of maybe when I hear people doubting me or when I hear people praising me is that no matter what they have to say, if I believe what they say and I take what they say to my heart, it's going to hurt when it's bad and it's just going to raise me up when it's good. And I think what allows me to be at my best is when I'm just doing this and I'm even keel no matter what's going on. So I try to avoid it as much as I can, but I do truly believe in my heart that I can help our team win at the next level and win a World Series. And I want nothing more in my professional career than helping our team win a World Series. That's what I want more than anything. So I always praying for the best, but yeah, that's I try and keep my earmuffs and my
Yeah.
blinders on as much as I possibly can.
Well, I feel like Cleveland fans that hear this are gonna want to run through a wall after hearing you say that. That's like pretty awesome to hear. And I know everybody's rooting for you and supporting you and hoping that you get that opportunity up here with Cleveland. Um, so yeah, we'll be rooting you on, and it's been fun kind of getting to know you with baseball and obviously the journey that you've had up until this point. But I just want to ask you a couple fun questions to get to know you a little bit better inside
Hmm.
of baseball, but outside of baseball too.
Yeah.
Um, what's your pregame routine, and do you have any like weird superstitions before you're about to start?
That's a great question. I have tried to strip myself of as many superstitions as I possibly can, but the game is riddled with superstition and it doesn't stop with me. I drink a specific type of Red Bull before I go out to the mound every single time. Um, I usually listen to my same pregame mix. My probably my favorite genre is like 90s alternative and grunge. So I'm listening to a lot of that before I pitch. Exclusively this one playlist that I've kind of curated. Um, and yeah, I used to do a lot more, but as of recently, I try and keep it simple. I used to sprint to the mound the same way. I used to flip the ball to myself the same way. I used to do the same things in the dugout in between each inning. And I've realized it kind of like holds me back as a competitor because it makes me feel like I can't succeed if I don't do these things. So I can control making sure that I drink my Red Bull before I pitch and what I listen to. So I've left it to just those two things as of now.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. And it seems like it's not broke right now. So you can stay with those two.
Hmm.
You've been in Cleveland now with Lake County. It's East Lake, but Cleveland.
Hmm.
Akron, Columbus now. I need you to tell me your favorite place to go grab a bite of eat in each city.
That's that's a good one. Columbus is so new to me, and I don't want to say some place that's just like, well, duh. I mean, this place is like everybody goes here. I've been my favorite place to get breakfast. I mean, my girlfriend and I we eat breakfast very often at Fox in the Snow, right around
Okay.
the corner. Super solid, really good croissants and like pastries and whatnot. In Akron, I mean, slam dunk, not even a question. Diamond Deli, the boys in Diamond Deli will treat you right.
It's like this.
It is the staple. It is, there's no better place to be. I will recommend Blue Door Cafe, which is in Cuyahoga Falls, a little bit further away. I do it being with baseball, you're only eating breakfast really because you're at the field
Yeah.
pretty much the entire afternoon. So I know I'm recommending mostly breakfast and lunch. And then in Eastlake, man, I we lived in downtown Cleveland when I played for the Captains, and I really didn't eat that much besides like chain around Eastlake. I there my there's a really cool vintage store in Willoughby that I would always try and go to whenever I could. Um, gosh, I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's like escaping me at the moment. Um, I'll have to figure that out. I'll have to text it to you or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
because I
We'll
can't
put
miss
like a
on
little
them.
blurb in
They're
or something.
yeah, they're awesome. And then in downtown Cleveland, um, you know, often than not, I'm usually just grabbing like Town Hall or something like that.
Town Hall is
I
solid.
haven't explored that much down there, but Town Hall's always solid and they got good food.
Yeah, they do. And their fries, their truffle fries are so good.
Yeah, they're banging every time.
So, if you were to be stuck in the jungle with two of your roommates, or I'm sorry, teammates, and you would want to survive, who would you be picking?
Um, I'll pick one since I've been in both places. I'll take one from each affiliate, both Double A and Triple A. In Double A, sneakily, I'm gonna take Aaron Davenport because of his ability.
I
Like, I
mean,
don't think he's an outdoorsy man by any stretch of the
but he
name,
looks like
but
Tarzan, so like
exactly. I want a
he's got to
guy
do
who's going to be,
something.
he's going to swing around. He's going to get us coconuts. Like he is also, he's not, maybe not resourceful, but he's going to be able to, we're going to have a lot of fun. He might carve us out a surfboard or something. Like we're going to have a good time if dad's there. And then from here, I have to take my Florida brethren, Andrew Walters. He is an outdoorsman, and he will take care of us. We will survive if Walters is there. He'll take us fishing. He'll make sure we eat well. Definitely got to take him.
Walters is going to feed the fam. We got that.
Hmm. No doubt.
Um, if you weren't playing baseball, what do you think you'd be doing?
I I don't know. I know I went to school for political science when I was at Ole Miss. I th- I think I'm just working in local government. I think I've always wanted to be like a city planner or something
Oh, I
like
can see
that.
it. Well, I saw that you were student body president in high school.
Yeah. I love organizing stuff. I love bringing people together. Um, I love making people happy by bringing people together. I think like a city planner or working for local government, being home, doing something like that I would love that.
What advice would you give a younger athlete who is looking at you and wants to be where you're at?
Um, Two things. They're almost polar opposites, but I feel like they coincide very well. One is to be athletic and keep it simple. If you train too much of just one thing, if you want to be a pitcher in the major leagues and you just train pitching, you're going to become a non-athlete. Love my pitchers out there, but we're not athletes by nature, by what we do. But the thing that makes us good, I think, and what makes good throwers of objects in general is being a tremendous athlete. So train being an athlete and don't worry so much about what you do. Let the cards fall where they may. And be a good athlete. And then on top of that, love every second of what you do. Because if that dream may come true, you'll get to this position, and those who don't make it are the ones that don't love what they do. So if you want to achieve your dreams, love what you do, and then maybe those dreams will become a reality because you're also young and you're only going to be young for so long because I look back now doing what I do for work and I wish I'm happy I get paid for what I do because I'm 24 years old and I need to make money. But
Yeah.
I wish for some bit that we didn't because I think I would still want to do it,
Yeah.
and that's what makes the best players of this game great is that they love what they do. So I would tell the kid to just have fun and find reasons that you love this game.
And then what would you say is the ultimate goal for you in this game and just in life in general? What do you want to accomplish and what do you think success is, I guess, for you in this lifetime?
Success for me in my professional career means I think it means winning a World Series. I think it means building lifelong friends. I think it could mean, going on this great adventure with people that I love. Life is so fulfilling and it's so fun, especially when you get great opportunities like this. So I'm just trying to soak it up the best that I can. And goals for life really is to just glorify God in everything that I do. He is my savior. He is my rock. And I just think that um, if I can have one person a month, a year come up to me and say, "Hey, man, I see you and you're just like this glowing light. You're this fountain of energy. What makes you you? What makes you happy? What makes you go every single day?" And if I could just bring one more person to God in that way of just being an example, that would be enough for me to rest easy, no matter what happens.
I love that. And I think that should be the definition of success for a lot of people. And I think along the way, you'll inspire kids, fans, adults, all of the above. And I know we're all rooting for you here. We hope to see you in Cleveland soon. And I just want to thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to come join me.
No worries, Mackenzie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super fun. And good luck today on your fifth start. We're gonna be watching.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, I'll see ya.